Tonight, Ottawa moves to end the Canada Post strike.
Canadians are rightly fed up.
More than 4 weeks in, the feds call for intervention.
Clearly, the holiday season is a bust for small businesses.
How long it could take before the mail starts to move. Frustration and confusion, the scramble to bring in Ottawa's tax holiday.
It's the wrong time of year for us to be doing it.
We break down what's covered, what's not, and why you may not save as much as you think.
Again, oh my God!
Brazen and terrifying. Jewelry store robberies surge in Ontario.
See this stuff in movies, it's definitely traumatizing.
What's behind the spike?
From CBC News, this is The National with Ian Henemansing.
Canada Post workers could soon be back on the job, getting the mail moving again after a month-long strike. But the two sides have not agreed on a new collective agreement. Instead, the federal government is stepping in, sending the dispute to the Canada Industrial Relations Board, which could order workers back in just days. The government says it's protecting Canadians' interests. But as Marina von Stackelberg explains, with so little time left in the holiday rush, some businesses say this is coming too late.
After more than 4 weeks on the picket line, the Canada Post strike will likely be over soon.
Canadians are rightly fed up.
The federal Labour Minister is using special powers under the Labour Code. He's asked the Canada Industrial Relations Board to consider ordering Canada Post employees back to work as early as next week.
These parties have not reached an agreement on their own for a long, long time. I wanted to give them every possibility of doing that. We devoted every bit of mediation and other resources that we could.
For some small businesses, it likely comes too late to salvage what should have been their busiest season for shipping products.
I'm really happy to hear that the Canada Post strike is potentially going to be resolved in short order. Clearly, the holiday season is a bust.
The mail backlog includes more than 1.5 million pieces of government mail and nearly 200,000 passports. In a statement, Canada Post says, "We look forward to welcoming our employees back to work and serving Canadians and customers. We will take all appropriate steps to support that process as quickly as possible."
The Labour Minister has disgusted us, to be fair.
The union says some members are already getting calls to return to the post office.
He did exactly what he said he wasn't going to do for the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and has now taken away the charter rights of 55,000 workers, saying it's a timeout, like we're children or something like that.
This is how the federal government has ended nearly every other major labor dispute this year.
It was a surprise to many of us when we saw this little-known provision in the Canada Labour Code being used by the minister and used in such a promiscuous fashion to end all of these strikes and lockouts in the federally regulated industries.
Now, usually when a government wants to end a strike, it has to pass back-to-work legislation. That's what happened last time Canada Post had a labor dispute. So using this part of the Labour Code, that expert says, allows the federal government to bypass an essential part of democracy.
So they're likely going back to work, but where does this leave the negotiations?
Well, the Labour Minister has appointed a special commissioner. That person will look at the fundamental reasons why these two sides can't reach a deal. A report on that is due in May. But in the meantime, the collective agreements will be extended, and it's very likely the union will take the federal government to court, accusing it of violating the constitutional right to strike. But a judge's decision could take more than a year.
Marina von Stackelberg in Ottawa. Small businesses are under pressure to implement the federal government's GST holiday. It goes into effect tomorrow. And while it may be good news for consumers, as Anis Haidari explains, it is causing headaches.
This retailer has a lot to do to prepare for a temporary tax cut.
We're trying hard. We're not throwing our hands up in the air. We're going to make a valiant attempt, but there's going to be some errors. Do this.
Hundreds, if not thousands of items have to be checked. Starting Saturday, only some will be tax-free for 2 months. But it's not always clear what counts and what doesn't.
I mean, a child could use it or an adult could use it. So who is this primarily for? And I honestly cannot tell you. Like, we sell it to everyone.
A lot of businesses are affected. Among the long list of tax-free items, restaurant meals, diapers, and beer and wine. But it could be hours of work to remove the GST.
There are huge compliance costs that are being pushed down to businesses. Reprogramming that has to happen basically at night on Friday, December the 13th. It's a giant mess.
All this may not boost holiday sales.
It's just not going to affect my shopping habit, really.
If I pick something and it happens to be included, that's going to be great. It'll be a nice surprise, but I'm not going to necessarily let that be sort of a driving criteria for what I'm shopping for.
I wish I knew about it earlier before I did all my shopping.
And dropping tax on a select list of items, like Christmas trees, has been criticized.
This is, potato chips and wine and things like that. And I think we'd be much better off just giving a little bit more money to families, and they can spend it however they wanted. And if they wanted to spend it on chips and wine, they could.
The federal government says this will put money in Canadians' pockets. Back in Calgary, this retailer says
some new games.
She supports that, but holiday changes aren't great.
It's a busy time of year. It's the wrong time of year for us to be doing it. I super appreciate in some ways the gesture, but it's causing a lot of work for us at this time of year.
So her staff will be making a list and checking it twice for tax purposes. Enis Haydari, CBC News, Calgary.
So how much should you expect to save during the GST holiday? It depends a lot on where you live. We'll break it down for you a little later in the hour. Executives from Canada's largest airlines are defending new fees for some carry-on items. The CEOs of Air Canada, WestJet, Air Transat and Porter appeared before a parliamentary committee. Sophia Harris shows us the fiery hearing.
The CEOs of Canada's major airlines in the hot seat, grilled by MPs about increasing airline fees.
Checked bag, $35 to $42. For advanced seating, $15 to $80.
The executives were summoned to appear after Air Canada's announcement last week it will join WestJet and Porter Airlines in nixing free carry-on for lowest fare customers, forcing them to check for a fee, any bag that can't fit under the seat.
With this additional fee that you'll be charging Canadian passengers, you expect increased revenues in surplus of your over $2 billion profits?
Well, we also invest in a tremendous amount of money. All the profits we make, we reinvest. We reinvest in airplanes.
The end of free carry-on for lowest cost fares has left some passengers frustrated.
That's a bad thing, right? I don't really appreciate that. They're just trying to mint money out of everything.
The prices, recently have just gone up so much, especially the price for bags. It's insane.
But the airline CEOs argued charging extra fees means passengers only pay for the services they want, and that the costs airlines must pay to operate are the real culprits.
If we really care about affordability in Canada, the main hurdle are the sky-high and off-the-chart high fees and charges that government-controlled entities charge airlines.
There was a lot of puffing and puffing.
This airline analyst says grilling airline CEOs likely won't lead to much change.
The politicians have no power over the airlines on this one, and the airlines basically are saying, we're doing what the market wants, so leave us alone.
The end result of the meeting? More meetings to come. Meanwhile, Air Canada's end to free carry-on for its cheapest tickets takes off on January 3rd. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
Premiers are set to meet this weekend, and high on the agenda is Donald Trump's threat to impose a 25% tariff on Canadian goods. As Rafi Bouchikanian explains, they'll be coming together with very different ideas of how to approach it.
Premier. Mixed messages and tough talk from some Canadian politicians as they take aim at Donald Trump's tariff threat.
I'd prefer not to do any of this. I'd prefer to make a deal.
Ontario's premier is suggesting the province's liquor stores could stop buying American alcohol after threatening to cut off energy exports to the U.S.
But would I rather send them energy? Sell them more energy? Absolutely.
Cutting off power is a card BC says it could play too.
Washington State, Oregon, and California. We sold $1 billion worth of electricity to those states last year.
That has Washington State concerned, its governor saying it would hurt people in both jurisdictions to stop that trade. No one wins by turning our closest friends into enemies. But not all provinces are taking the same approach.
Long before we ever get to any tariff discussion or any short list discussion, there's some other work for us to do. Let's secure the borders.
Alberta's Danielle Smith says her province will not cut off energy exports to the U.S. And Quebec's François Legault points out he met Donald Trump last weekend and is convinced strengthening border security is the key.
If it comes to Alberta or Quebec, that's their choice. They believe in diplomacy. Good luck.
The federal government had asked for a Team Canada approach and insists that's what's happening.
Premiers surprisingly answer questions from journalists when they're asked, and they don't all have the same views. That's as old as Confederation. But in the meetings I've been in and in my conversations with premiers, they recognize the importance of the country speaking with one voice.
Another premiers meeting starts Sunday, while the federal government says it will recruit hundreds more people to protect the border starting next year. More of its plan is expected in the fall economic statement on Monday. Rafi Bujikani on CBC News, Ottawa.
After trade, Donald Trump is already setting his sights on another target, daylight saving time. In a social media post, he said his government would use its best efforts to eliminate daylight saving time, which he called inconvenient and very costly to the nation. As sweeping political change continues in Syria, a large explosion rocked Damascus. The fire lit up the night sky somewhere in the mountains, a few kilometers from the city center. It's not clear what caused it. Israel has struck other targets in the Damascus region in recent days. Just hours before, the city was a scene of fireworks and celebrations for the fall of Bashar al-Assad. Margaret Evans went into those crowds, capturing both the hope and the concern for Syria's future.
The stone pathways leading to the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus, straining to contain the flow of people eager to be a part of history. Called to the streets to celebrate the victory of the revolution by the rebel commander who led it, Abu Muhammad al-Jolani. Just days since the fall of the regime, many say they already feel a change. I can walk and go wherever I want, she says. No one is monitoring me. I'm so happy. Raed al-Salah, head of the famed White Helmets, volunteer first responders who aided the opposition, was also here. His first visit to the capital in 14 years. We're going to build a new Syria and make sure it's only one country, he says, one community, and that Syrians are making the decisions. But with all crossroads, there's more than one direction on offer.
Until now, everything is good, but in the future, all the people have a fear. Maybe some people who love Jolani, who like Jolani, but some people who don't know Jolani. We don't know him.
Nor do they know how he'll deal with the massive challenges facing Syria. Over 70% of people here require humanitarian aid, according to the UN.
Now you've had this historical transformation of everything that's going on in Syria, massive displacement of the population again.
The World Food Programme's Ken Crossley, a Canadian, says they're working with the new leadership to ensure aid continues to flow.
It's still uncertain what's going to play out next, but like I say, the early signs, or at least right now, here are more calm than people worried about.
There are visibly more rebel fighters here in the capital, treated like heroes by many. Abu Ahmed is 22. We'll focus on security and safety here, he says. There are a lot of people who are still supporting the regime. Whether they fear what comes next or not, many Syrians are eager to put paid to the old regime, to cover it up once and for all, and move forward with a fresh start. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Damascus.
A flurry of activity at a strategic airbase in Syria suggests Russia may be reducing its footprint in that country. At Russia's Hmeimim airbase near the Syrian coast, these satellite images appear to show transport aircraft with nose cones open to receive cargo and a helicopter being dismantled, signs that the Russian military is moving at least some equipment out. Moscow was a close ally of Bashar al-Assad. Its air force used to prop up his regime right up to the end. With Assad gone, Russia's future in Syria is in doubt. But in Ukraine, Russia's advancing on the ground and hitting the country's energy grid with drones and missiles. Briar Stewart shows us that on the already strained front lines, there's a lot of uncertainty.
Nearly 300 Russian drones and missiles sent some in Kyiv into a metro station to seek shelter. Every night, there's an air alarm. My child is always scared, said this mother, who previously fled fighting in the south and is now living in Kyiv. This was the 12th attack this year on Ukraine's battered energy system, but caught up in it too, this home in western Ukraine, damaged by an explosion. In most cities, life carried on with the hum of generators. But in Pokrovsk in the southeast, there's no power, gas, or water, and the Russian military is now just a few kilometers away. The Russians have already positioned themselves behind our house in the forest, said this city worker who's planning to leave. Pokrovsk, a logistical hub, has long been a target of Russia. Those residents still here either can't or won't leave. They only make the dangerous journey into the deserted streets to pick up supplies. Russian troops are advancing in the southeast and putting pressure on Ukraine in the north, in the Kursk region, where Kyiv still controls several hundred kilometers of Russian territory.
We'll be here until the end.
CBC News spoke to soldiers stationed in Kursk who asked only to be identified by their military call signs. It seems that the Russians are trying to quickly retake the Kursk region before Trump's inauguration, said this soldier, adding that Moscow thinks it will create an advantage when it comes to negotiations. But what kind of negotiations can there be, he said. Even if there was some kind of deal, he believes it would only be temporary. And that the war, which has been grinding on for nearly 3 years, would quickly flare up again. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
Toronto's seeing an increase in brazen jewelry store heists, often made in the light of day.
We were scared. We were like, it was a scare to death kind of situation.
The rising trend of smash and grabs caught on camera. Next. Plus, a holiday tradition gets a streaming reboot.
Everyone I know in my orbit, at least, is watching, commenting, lusting in some cases.
Why Netflix is taking a page from Hallmark. And later, Enchanted in a children's hospital. Some young patients get a visitor they'll never forget. We're back in 2. Millions of Stanley brand travel mugs have been recalled due to a burn hazard. These are the switchback and trigger action stainless steel mugs. The company says the lid threads can shrink when exposed to heat, and that causes the lid to detach. At least one person in Canada has been injured. Police in the Toronto area say smash and grab jewelry store robberies are on the rise. Groups of thieves are pulling off some bold heists. Thomas Dagla looks at what could be driving this crime spree and prompting workers to fight back.
Outside a Toronto jewelry store on a recent evening, at least 8 masked suspects are seen charging in, captured on security video trying to smash through the door, until quick-thinking staff reach for a sword to fight off those would-be robbers. Yes, for jewelry store workers, it's come to this.
We were scared. We were like, it was a scare to death kind of situation, you know, when somebody got into your store.
Area jewelers are reporting a steep rise in robberies, nearly 100 this year. Like this brazen smash and grab at a suburban mall last week that left one employee on the floor, injured and terrorized. The man recording this video runs after the robbers all the way to their car.
A lot of these stolen goods are being sold at less than scrupulous businesses, whether they're, say, cash or gold exchanges, or they're, say, a flea market.
Again, oh my God!
Police in Toronto say reported jewelry store robberies have doubled this year, while in some suburbs they've more than tripled. Watch as this suspect shows off a hammer, then takes off, with mall security left helpless.
It's worse. It's like a bad you cannot even imagine.
You see this stuff in movies and
when you witness it firsthand and when you go through that experience, it's definitely traumatizing.
So why are jewelers being targeted now? This industry expert has a hunch. As more consumers pay by card and fewer retailers carry much cash.
Jewelry stores are also not full of money, but they do have gold, and gold can be turned into money relatively easily, and gold prices have gone wild.
As for that sword-wielding store worker who warded off the would-be robbers, seconds later the whole group is seen running away, empty-handed. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
Heading into the holiday season, many are getting into the spirit with a little romance on the small screen.
Complete opposites, but the spirit of the season will bring them together.
How Netflix is looking to cash in on Hallmark's feel-good formula. Plus, the federal Liberals' GST holiday is about to come into effect, but how much of a break will it actually be?
Yes, prices go down effectively 5% on December 14th, but maybe the grocery store jacks them up 1 or 2% and captures part of that reduction in GST in corporate profits.
Andrew Chang does the math on where you'll save and where you won't. And a best-selling Canadian author speaks out about why his novel is no longer being taught in some classrooms.
Most books that examine serious issues involve triggering subjects.
Lawrence Hill tells us why he thinks it's such a big mistake. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. You are looking at one of the largest and rarest freshwater fish in the world. The Mekong giant catfish is one of 6 that was recently caught, tagged, and released in Cambodia. Researchers say it's a hopeful sign the critically endangered species is not an imminent risk of extinction. The fish can grow up to more than 3 meters and weigh up to 300 kilograms. Hallmark holiday movie season is here, but this year Netflix is bringing some competition, capitalizing off the wildly popular genre. As Eli Glasner explains, the low production cost and huge audience appetite makes it a winning formula.
In the beginning, there was Hallmark.
'Tis a season of giving.
A reliable source of seasonal Christmas cheese.
They're complete opposites, but the spirit of the season will bring them together.
Mock all you want, this analyst says Hallmark pioneered a winning formula.
Holiday entertainment is a reliable, cyclical, seasonally reoccurring interest.
Now Netflix is moving in on the merriment with a sexy snowman.
Hi there!
Strippers, and Lindsay Lohan?
I'm spending the holidays with my boyfriend's family for the first time. Here we go.
Lindsay Lohan has all of a sudden become the revived it girl again, right? So I think that this is a great platform for her.
This culture critic isn't surprised to see Netflix heating up the holidays with some seasonal spice.
If Hallmark started pushing that, that would have been a calamity. You know this. It's Hallmark. Hallmark, as you said, it's safe, right? So Netflix is the one that enters the scene, and they can push a little bit further.
And while Hallmark's consistency and comfort captured traditional viewers, this writer says Netflix is aiming for a different crowd.
So it might be a millennial or a Gen Z who's sitting down on a Friday, Saturday night, and they just want to tune in and actually be entertained.
It certainly worked for her friend group.
Everyone I know in my orbit, at least, is watching, commenting, lusting in some cases. So I think it has eyes on the screen.
I mean, I'm looking at the top 10 films of Netflix, and now it's like mistletoe this and holiday that. So how popular are these seasonal films?
Not only are we getting a greater volume of holiday movies pretty much every holiday season, but audiences' appetite for these movies are growing.
Evening, ladies. He says as opposed to big budget movies like Dwayne Johnson's Red One, holiday rom-coms are low cost, high return investments. The Christmas content gift that keeps on giving. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. A prominent Canadian novelist speaks out after an Ontario school board stops teaching his award-winning book because of the N-word.
It's actually less painful if you talk about it than if you pretend it's not there.
But first,
we're going to remove the GST, HST from groceries.
On the eve of the federal government's 2-month-long GST holiday, shoppers stand ready to save. But how big a break will they see? Andrew Chang, host of CBC's About That, breaks down the program, including something about it that may undercut how much you actually save at the cash register.
So to understand where the government's promise might fall short of expectations, you first have to understand how the promise even works.
For 2 months, Canadians are going to get a real break on everything they do.
Starting December 14th and running until February 15th, so that's 2 full months, the federal government is removing the GST on a whole basket of goodies. So that's 5% off prepared foods that you might buy in a grocery store, like salads and sandwiches, snacks like chips, candy, chocolate, fresh baked goods, beer, wine, and premixed drinks under 7% alcohol, all restaurant meals, kids' clothes, shoes, hats, gloves, toys like dolls, Lego, stuffed animals, board games, video games, books, newspapers, Christmas trees, car seats, diapers.
These are things that recognize that people are squeezed, and we're there to help.
I think this list that they've drawn up is designed to appeal to middle-class people. They're trying to throw them a bone and say, hey, save a little bit of money this holiday season.
So, like I said, it's a big list, but you can think of it in 2 broad categories. Food, virtually all food, and a bunch of kids stuff. Clothes, toys, diapers, car seats. And then Christmas trees, just because.
And it comes just in time for the holidays, when people are going to want to be entertaining.
And wait, it gets better, because while the GST applies across the country, so that's a 5% federal tax that will disappear for 2 months, there's a bonus reduction in 5 provinces.
All tax-free, removing the GST and HST.
Yes, in Ontario and all of Atlantic Canada, where the GST is already combined with the provincial sales tax, you get that HST removed. So in Ontario's case, that's 13% when you combine the two, and in Atlantic Canada, the HST is even higher at 15%.
The government estimates that people in provinces with the HST will have like a doubled savings, right? So there's quite a disparity between what Canadians in those HST provinces will be saving in the 2-month period between December and February and what people in the other provinces will be saving.
Now, this is where we kind of want to be really clear-eyed about what the government is promising here, because politically, these 5 provinces matter. You can't win an election if you don't win Ontario, and the Liberals are seeing support slip away in Atlantic Canada. And I'm not sure it's super obvious that this bonus isn't quite as big as advertised. And I'll show you why. So my wife and I live in Ontario, and she bought shoes for the kids recently. Here's the receipt. Note the cost, $32.96 plus $6.08 in shipping. If I was already paying 13% in HST, so $32.96 plus $6.08 equals $39.04 times 13%, I should be paying $5.08 in tax. But I didn't pay that. I only paid $1.95. Why is that? Because, and I'll show you the math, so $1.95 divided by $39.04 times 100. That shows me that I paid almost exactly 5% in tax. So I paid the GST, but not the full HST, because in Ontario, you already don't pay any provincial tax on kids' shoes or diapers. I bought these last night, and here's the receipt. $15.99, and the HST was 80 cents. That's 5% tax, not 13%. And then I bought this bean salad, and it says right here on the receipt that I paid 5% tax. That's all I paid. In Ontario, it was already the case that things like books, kids' clothing and footwear, car seats, booster seats, diapers, newspapers, they were all already exempt from the provincial portion of the HST. And so far as I can tell, this is also true to varying degrees in different parts of Atlantic Canada as well. In New Brunswick, books, for example, are already exempt from the provincial part of the HST. The federal GST is already the only tax you pay. In PEI, it's been true for years that you don't pay the provincial part of the HST on children's clothing, footwear, and books. And we can do a side-by-side comparison of the PEI exemptions from 10 plus years ago with the brand new GST holiday announcement. Notice any similarities? The language is tailor-written, basically copied to mirror what has already been in place to a T. So the 13 to 15% savings in some provinces that the government is advertising isn't quite that high. But to be fair, the proposed GST holiday does expand tax exemptions in every province, even the ones I've listed. For example, I don't know of a single province that has a tax exemption on Nintendo Switches, but there will be one, at least on the GST portion, come next month. So let's figure out how much money you are likely to save once this kicks in. So let's start with food, because this is where I think most of us feel the biggest daily pinch. According to One Research Lab's annual food report, a typical family of 4 is likely to spend just over $16,000 a year on groceries.
I will say that feels a little high to me. I spend a few $1,000s less than that, but my kids are young and maybe they don't eat as much. So let's work with this figure, $16,000 a year. According to Statistics Canada, of that amount, about a quarter is spent on foods that are taxable to begin with.
Because, and I think we all know this already, basic groceries like eggs, milk, fruits, vegetables, meat, there's already zero tax on that stuff.
So let's set that chunk of food aside. If we figure the average family spends 25% of $16,000, which is, let's say, about $4,000 a year, on the kinds of things that you do pay tax on, so we're talking pop, junk food, ice cream, granola bars, the prepared, ready-to-eat food, getting a 5% discount on that works out to around $200 annually. More than that, sometimes, if you live in a province with HST. But remember that this tax holiday only runs for 2 months. So on groceries, you're saving 1/6 that amount, which works out to $33.
That's it. That's the grocery savings. But let's add restaurants. If you spend $100 on a meal once a week, that's $5 of savings a week for 8 weeks. That's $40 more in savings. Do you spend $20 a week on alcohol? Let's add another $1 a week off, $8 total. Christmas gifts, and let's go all out. We're gonna buy one kid a $100 Lego set for another $5 off, and we're gonna spend $500 on a PS5, which adds another $25 of savings. And then, what the hell? We're gonna spend $100 buying a new fake Christmas tree, just because we can. That's another $5 in savings. So what are we up to now? $116 in savings, and there's still more that we could add. Now, I need to really stress this point. All anyone can do here is estimate, because maybe you don't buy any of those things, so you save less. Or maybe you live in Nova Scotia, where you save 15%, not 5%, so you will save triple our estimate. Or maybe you've got a newborn. You go through 10 diapers a day, and you're planning on stocking up. So you're gonna buy $1,000 worth of diapers in one go. You live in PEI, so you're getting 15% off, and that saves you $150 without even blinking an eye. Everyone's mileage will vary. Fair? But let's make one last point before we wrap this up. We've already gone through a lot, so I don't want to tack on too much here at the end, but there are a few things that we do have to mention because they're a part of the story.
This is really about saying to Canadians, things have been hard.
One criticism of this plan from the Bloc Québécois is that this tax relief feels transparent.
The Liberals have shown that when they need billions of dollars in order to literally buy votes, they find it.
A lot of critics are saying the government is just trying to buy your vote right now. They're trying to get you back on side with the Liberal Party. They're trying to get you back in the fold.
A perhaps Bigger picture question, though, is whether injecting all of this stimulus money into the economy just drives inflation higher, because we know more spending equals more economic activity equals higher prices. And on that point, we don't really know how most retailers are going to react.
Yes, prices go down effectively 5% on December 14th, but maybe the grocery store jacks them up 1 or 2% and captures part of that reduction in GST in corporate profits.
Mr. Harper in 2007, 2008 actually reduced the GST by 1%, 2 consecutive years. Inflation went up, not down. Food inflation went up, not down.
And ultimately, no matter who pockets most of the savings, there is an opportunity cost when you don't charge tax. The federal government's own estimate is that they'll be foregoing $1.6 billion in tax revenue by giving Canadians this tax break. That's either a good thing if you think we already get taxed too much, or, Ian, it's a bad thing if you ask yourself what the government could have spent that money on, as it expects to run a deficit of $40 billion this fiscal year.
Thanks, Andrew. The Book of Negroes is considered an important Canadian classic, but its use of the N-word means it's no longer being taught in some classrooms. Coming up, author Lawrence Hill tells us why he thinks that's the wrong choice. The Book of Negroes, Lawrence Hill's award-winning novel.
It's a story fundamentally about a woman's resilience.
Hill, appointed to the Order of Canada, his book turned into a CBC miniseries.
I'm interested in dramatizing our true history in its full colors.
Now, an Ontario school board won't teach it because of some of its language. But what if the language is part of the history? And author Lawrence Hill joins us now from Hamilton, Ontario. Lawrence, the Catholic School Board in London is not going to put the Book of Negroes on its reading list because it has the N-word. Why do you think that's a bad decision?
Well, I went to school in Toronto in the 60s and 70s, and there wasn't a single Black or Indigenous or Indo-Canadian or Japanese Canadian or Chinese Canadian voice represented in the literatures that we read. And in this move on the part of the London Catholic District School Board pushes us back decades. It basically eliminates the possibility for students to be asked to read as a class Black literature, because most serious Black writers who are writing about serious issues will occasionally use the word as they're writing about their own lived experiences. That word, unfortunately, is part of our lived experience, so we go to it sometimes in our literature.
So we reached out to the school board, and they sent us a statement. I'll read it now. The well-being of our students always comes first. The LDCSB is not banning or censoring books. However, we take an informed approach that certain books containing triggering language and content should not be required or mandatory reading for assessment in our schools. We must be mindful of the diverse sensitivities and experiences of our students. So it's interesting, Lawrence, you know, we're talking about, first of all, not banning the book as opposed to not putting it on a reading list. And the school board is saying that it's concerned about the sensitivities of students, which generally is a good thing to be concerned about. What's your response particularly to their statement?
Well, I'm concerned about the sensitivities of students too, as are all good teachers. As for triggering language, most books that examine serious issues involve triggering subjects, whether it's the Diary of Anne Frank or The Handmaid's Tale or Washington Black by S.A. Durgeon or Brother by David Cherry-Andy, Letter from Birmingham Jail by Martin Luther King. These examine subjects that can disturb, and cause readers to think, which is the whole point of art. It is effectively a ban, but even though the language pretends that it is not, because it prevents teachers from assigning books with the N-word to be read by entire classes. So a teacher can't contextualize that book, can't introduce the book to the students in a thoughtful way, can't ask students ahead of time, which they will if they're comfortable engaging in such a book. And so it does effectively prohibit the teaching of such books to classrooms. So even though the board says it's not, it is effectively a serious impediment to the reading of serious Black literature in high schools.
I want to bring in another voice, and this overlaps a little bit with the conversation you and I have had so far, but let me just play this from a professor at Memorial University in Newfoundland. He's spoken out on this topic before, and here's what he had to say.
I think that we need to approach this conversation with the understanding that not all Black students are the same, that we're not a monolith, and that the ways in which different Black students might engage with that word or, embrace that word might be completely different. So some people might have no issues with it, and in other people, it might be a point of concern for them. And I think the sensitivity that instructors or educators are able to bring to the conversation would be helpful in that regard.
Yeah, so Lawrence, we have about 90 seconds left. Let me ask you this question coming out of that statement. How would you approach it as someone who obviously, you're a novelist, you love literature. If you wanted to teach a book with the N-word to a high school class, and some people are going to be sensitive about that, how would you approach that?
Well, first of all, I discuss the book in detail ahead of time with the children, the students, the teenagers. They're usually 16, 17, 18 years old, so they understand what they're getting into. I'd give them the opportunity, as good teachers do, to back out if they don't feel comfortable. Most of them will not back out. I would introduce the history and the social context in which this language is used. And I would introduce to the students the fact that although on one hand, the word is painful and is associated with violence inflicted upon Black people over the course of centuries in Canada and elsewhere in the Americas, on the other hand, it's been completely reappropriated in Black culture by hip-hop artists, filmmakers, novelists, and the like. And so students need to understand how to navigate a world in which, on one hand, it's a heinous insult, and on the other hand, it's being used left, right, and center, and students hear it all day long before and after school. So we have to equip them to navigate this complicated and ambiguous word and understand it and use it respectfully and engage with each other with the understanding that it can cause harm and pain, but it's also abounds in Black culture. How to navigate that? I would help students try to understand that duality.
I love the fact that we can have such a measured conversation about a topic that for some is very emotional. Lawrence Hill, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up, music's brightest star brings joy to children's faces. The surprise visit in our moment. You're looking at Bailey, a young patient at a children's hospital in Kansas City, and next to her, well, you know who that is. It was the music icon's first public appearance since the end of her Globetrotting Eras tour here in Vancouver last week. The children's cheerful reaction in our moment. A more intimate venue for sure than Swift has been used to recently, but these fans no less adoring.
Okay.
Yesterday, the superstar met children and their families in the cancer ward at Mercy Children's Hospital.
I love you, bacon.
She took time with her young fans for some sing-alongs, selfies,
So nice.
and a few autographs.
This is too nice.
She even made a TikTok. When Swift learned one mom had dropped everything and raced to the hospital from work to meet her.
Mom is racing up here, but she's leaving from work, yeah.
Aww.
She stuck around to make the magical moment a reality. And despite all the hardships they're facing, the smiles were unavoidable, proving a little kindness will never go out of style.
And what day is today? My last chemo. Yay!
It was amazing to be here in Vancouver last weekend. She had those 3 concerts, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the entire city, it seemed, was engaged. And at one point Sunday night, I just walked by BC Place, people outside listening. So imagine what it was like in that hospital. 2 minutes notice is what people inside got that Taylor Swift was about to enter. And you can see the reaction on the parts of not just the kids, but the parents as well. That is the National for December 13th. I hope you join me Sunday for Cross Country Checkup on CBC Radio and later that night right here for the National. Have a great Saturday.